Today I'm going to be talking about compression and EQ. Well, if you put it on the insert, it's EQ and compression. That's the way you want to do it. That's because you don't want to EQ the compression. You want to just EQ the mix. So the EQ has to go first before you compress. Otherwise, you're going to compress the EQ, which is not what you want to do. It makes a slight difference in a way, but in ways I can show you. So here it is with EQ and compressor. I'm not going to have that highlighted. So here it is. Yeah. Right. Okay. So you got kind of that. But if we go and change this around, so with command we can drag, and it will switch. So we got compress. I don't know if you can actually hear the difference there. There's a little slight difference in the actual kind of power of the of the piano there. It's kind of hard to describe, but if you go and try it yourself on some of the stuff that you're familiar with, you could probably see the difference. So let me just change that back round. Right, so we're gonna mute. Let me mute that. Oh, one button. Mute and mute. Let's do it to this one as well. Mute. Drums. I know this song's quite repetitive, so we're only going to do up to about 14. There you go. So as you can see, this one hasn't got an EQ. I didn't put one in for my own effect. I actually muted the track. Yeah. Right, there we go. Okay, so I've taken everything out. Okay, so you kind of get the feel of that. Right, if we go back here, as you can see, by the way, this is one of my songs on my sample tracks I did for college. I think this is the first one I uploaded, which is called the first song remix, because I've changed a lot of things around from when I did it on my EP last year, and I took on everything out and just stripped it into samples, what kind of kept the kind of flow of it going. So anyway, we're going to go with the piano now, so let's have a look at the EQ itself. Right, very straightforward. Okay, in some ways, we got your master gain here. That's how much you want to gain with the EQ. And what I've done here is I've found basically any type of recording you do in a room, in a studio or anything, there's a level of just noise. So if we go and drag this up, it's that one. So if we go drag this all the way up, I'll mute it for starters. Might have been good. That noise there is very annoying. You'll find that on every single piece of stuff you kind of record on a mic and so on. So you definitely want to take that out. You can put it up there with this, all the way up to the top. This will make it fatter. So but you want to find the smallest bit, so you want to go to 100, and then this will move it around. If you find it one, I think it was just there, if I remember rightly. Yeah, so we'll take that out. Now, some of you might be thinking, oh my god, look what that looks like. Yeah, it actually looks like a Tommy gun. This is kind of used in most of the EQs and ways. These lower frequencies are hardly used unless it's a drum, like proper bass drums and stuff like that. Vocals, you would take this bit out because no one can actually get sound this kind of range. Up here, this is kind of where the main kind of frequencies are hit, so we increase this a bit so you can actually hear a volume and so on, and gives it that kind of brightness to it. So you can see the difference. So if we loop this, I did there we go. If I loop that bit to there, can you hear the difference there? Right, this is playing. Now we're not. The brightness of the actual piano is taken out when you stop this EQ. So that's why we keep this in. It's very important. Sorry, it's very important. You got some templates up here, so you kind of bring it down the side and so on. Not really used. Usually keep it on default. Really. So yeah, as you can see, it's more of what you can hear to what you need to do on the EQ. There's no kind of, for drums it needs to be like this. For vocals it needs to be like this. It's all about the ears and what you can hear and what you need to things change to brighten it up and so on. So that's why the EQ is always first. By the way, you can't put compressor over the top because if I do it again, you will hear a big difference between the two. So if we play it like this, because now what you're actually kind of doing is you're EQing the compression itself. So it's not actually EQing the actual proper track, you're EQing the compression. So that's why EQ is usually first. You can't. Sometimes you can hear it quite easily. So other times you just gotta cope with that really. So if we go into the compressor itself, now this is kind of the default. So if we play it with it, can you see like the loudness of the lower notes? I've been able to come up to the same kind of level as the high ones. And it goes quieter again. Now the only thing about this is when you get compressor up, it actually has a default setting. If I do it on another track, if I go down here, let me take that off. Plus software instrument, create. Just put it on the same thing. So what are we on there? Let's go on to Steinway Piano Studio. Right, so always gonna bring that up, isn't it? Oh, it doesn't matter anyway. Yeah, so if we go dynamics, compressor, stereo, there you go, that's the default. So if we bring the other one up, you can see I've kind of changed it around a bit in some places. Or is it just copied mine? I don't know. It looks kind of the same, but I have actually changed it. So basically what we're going to do, if we bring that one down here, what we're going to do is we're going to make this compressed. So we're gonna play it. Oh, silly me. Audio. Great. Take that off. Yeah, delete that or whatever. I did a massive fail. Oh well. Never know. Right, so we've got it down here. We're gonna single that. Yeah, that works. Let's get the compressor going. There you go. Right, so basically, as you can see here, this is the gain reduction. This tells you how much you're reducing the higher frequencies from, and so you kind of make it down to the same kind of frequency, so you get the same level volume, so you can hear the lower frequencies. When you do that though, this is when you increase the gain. So if we bring it all the way to the top, it shouldn't actually compress anything. We start going down. Right, so now it's getting to about 2. So we're going to add 2 onto this, so it goes up to 6. Increase the attack of when the compressor actually comes in. So if we do it completely all the way up, it doesn't sound as natural. So if we put the release all the way up, release all the way down. So basically the attack basically tells you, it's quite easy to show you if I do just double that. I'm using a rich kind of way of showing you. It's a rich job. Okay, so the attack is how quickly the compressor comes in. So let's say you want it to go up to about there. That's the attack. You can make it longer attack. And then in the release, you can have it quite short. So there, it's quite a short release, narrowed. That might be good. If I actually take that off, untick that, go Alt, copy that, so you actually hear, go back in. So if we go back to we're going to leave that one down here. Right. So you get kind of the picture of what the attack and release kind of do here. Obviously it doesn't actually work in just making the volume change. It's just the automation is quite a good way of showing you how to do that. Right, anyway, so back onto this one. Let's loop it again. So we kind of got what we want. So we got ratio down here. So as it says, for every 1.5 something what, basically. Which actually kind of means every 1.5 frequency that's higher than where we've compressed it to, we only let one of the noise get out. So we can make this bigger. So if I make this all, let's make this 10 or 12. Actually, yeah, let's make it 11. No, that's 10. That's 10. So this is for every 10, one gets out. So we play it. again, some of the stuff you use it on, like vocals for instance, you'll hear a massive difference straight away. Just using this for audio tracks like this, where you've got a sample from YouTube and so on, it does work. You can't actually hear the actual change. So yeah, that's pretty much all you really need to know about the compressor. Again, keep it on default, and basically what we can do now is we can play it. Actually, we sample that. So here's our compressed. Now I'm going to bypass it. So we've done this, like, okay, let's say we've done this now, and now we're going to add the EQ in, which we have up here, which I showed you earlier. Now if we play this instead of that one, so let's get those off. On sample that, which what I can do is a sample menu. So that's this is just the compressed version. This is the actual version. You can tell a massive difference from this, because I've got the EQ, which makes it brighter. Remember, the EQ is all about making the actual flow and the audio bright and stuff. You can change it around so it's the other way, but bright is kind of what you're actually aiming for and so on. So if we put this back in. So yeah, that's what you kind of get. If we go back to the EQ again, sorry. Basically, this is basically showing you. This is basically helps you, sorry, for the signal to noise ratio, in a way. So technically, basically, when you're recording in a studio, let's say you're in the booth and so on, there's always going to be background noise, whatever, which is this bit here, which I've actually taken out of my mix. Now you want more signal than you want with noise usually, unless it's for an atmospheric kind of thing, or you know, if it's actually supposed to be there for a purpose, not just because it's in the mix and you haven't done anything about it. So the signal to noise ratio is always good to make sure you've got more signal than noise. So if you've got, for instance, let's say you're singing and you've gone la 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 in the scale. I can't sing, obviously. For every 5 la, you got a bit of noise in the background. You can make that better by going for every 7 la, you've got a little bit of noise in the background, or you know, that kind of bit. If I could put it in like that way, for you to understand a bit more about signal to noise. Also, what you'll see about the track. So if I play this now. Okay, as you can see down here, I've got a lot of headroom here. I would wonder why the logic's not bloody sorted out. Right, okay, thank you for actually listening to me now. Yeah, I'm downloading this at the moment, so my computer's kind of slow. But anyway, as you can see, I've got a lot of headroom here. Now, for instance, if I put this on, signal it off, and then I go to here and I mute compressor, I go to A, I go beef up the track. Let's put it all the way up. Right, as you can see there, it's clipping very badly at 4.9. Note is just on the edge of clipping, okay? So you want to keep it in the minuses, and you always want a bit of headroom as well, so you've always got space and so on. But with that, just playing. See, so if I go back to A, let's bring this much down again. What we want to do, we add the compressor in. You just get there each time I kind of compress and so on with it. But it took me a while to do that because I need to add in the EQ and, you know, bring the effect down a bit more. So for me, automation for me would be about 7 because the sharpness of the high notes, and I would compress it a bit more and so on. But I'm not going to do that now because I've technically just told you everything about it. But if I'd done that, look, perfect. Look at that 1.1, look at the headroom I've got. That's what you kind of want. Anyway, I hope this video is kind of helpful and so on in any way.